Hi Titilayo. Hi Santina. Hello. Hi, Uzo. So Nimi, can you share the Kobe Come Africa?
Okay.
Hi everyone. So quickly, hello Korede. I would introduce myself and Kobe Come Africa, and then we'll hand over to our speaker. I'll introduce her first, and then she'll start. So just very quickly. Oh, thank you. Hi, thank you, Santina. So just very quickly, my name is Ijoma Adesonya, and I am the founder of Kobicam Africa. We're obviously so glad to have you today for our Shikan Initiative webinar series. This is the third series we've had this month. So we've had one every Friday. And today we'll be discussing business finance, which I think is a really important topic for entrepreneurs and businesses in general. So before we meet our speaker, I'll just talk a little bit about Kobicam Africa and the Shikan Initiative. So Kobicam Africa is a gender advisory and advocacy consulting that focuses on advancing women in Africa. Our goal is to contribute to the fulfillment of women by fostering an enabling environment and business society that empowers them personally and professionally. So on an individual level, we have the Shikan Initiative, which is what we're having now. This is one of the initiatives that we have under that platform, and it's targeted at female entrepreneurs across Africa. We also have the private sector space, which is focused on building a partnership with the private sector to ensure that we advise the private sector on things that affect women in the workplace. So biases in the workplace, we perform gender audits as well, and just anything that would advance women in the private sector in the workplace. And then on the public space, we advocate for policies that affect women. So the Shikan Initiative thought to do this webinar series just so that we can help female entrepreneurs across Africa with the different tools that they need for success. So the first session we had was on building your online presence. The second one we had last week was on your branding, how to tell your brand story, and also just building your business up for success on a brand level. And so today we'll be discussing business finance, which I think is a very important topic. And then next week, which is the last of the series, we will be discussing building the confidence to charge what you deserve. So thank you everyone for joining. I would introduce our speaker next. So Mrs. Toyin Aralepo, thank you for joining us. Toyin Aralepo is a first-class accounting graduate, a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and also a fellow of the Institute of Information Management of Africa. She's an alumni of the London School of Business and Finance with over 15 years wealth of experience across banking, telecoms, and fintech. Her areas of expertise include finance strategy and business partnering, finance planning, analysis and reporting, audit and business assurance, financial controls, and governance. She was the head of budgets in UBA and responsible for over 400 business offices, budget preparation and consolidation. She was also the commercial controller and financial controller at Airtel Nigeria, where she managed a portfolio of over $1 billion and supported cost initiatives that saved millions of dollars. She's currently the CFO of Cellulant Nigeria. She recently founded Africa Finance and Strategy Hub to support businesses, especially SMEs, to gain access to professional financing management skills and tools that will assist them to understand, manage, and scale their businesses. She wants to help businesses build financial structures to maximize their cash and profits. She's very passionate about unassuming entrepreneurial role model to young women. So thank you, Mrs. Toyin, for joining us. I'll hand over to you now.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ijeoma, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and I believe we're going to have very good discussions today, and it's going to be as interactive as much as possible. I will advise you to get your note and your pen, so that you can put down some of the best practices that we'll be sharing and discussing today. So before I share my screen, the poll, is it starting right now? Is, okay.
Yes, so it's starting now.
Okay, so I just want everyone to fill in the poll that is up now. It's just to give us an idea of where we are in our business management, so that it will guide us in the discussions and also see areas where we need to really focus on to improve our businesses. So the time starts now. So there are 8 questions there to be answered. So once we are done, let's just indicate in the chat box that we're done. So Nimi, you can just check and confirm once the poll has been completed. Okay, I'm seeing responses done. Uzo has done, has. Odeyemi, yeah, great. Okay, so are we all done? Nimi, can you confirm that everyone has completed the poll?
Yes, I think it's fine. We can go ahead now.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so let me share my screen now. So can we all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to read out the results? Just in terms of the.
Yes. So can she present the results then?
So I'll do it. I'll just read it out. So
Okay.
we have majority of people saying they don't have an accounting system.
Okay.
We have majority of people saying they don't have a budget. We have majority of people saying they have registered their business. We have majority of people saying they do track their performance. We have majority of people saying they don't have financial statements. And majority as well have not applied for a business loan and have not been declined a business loan.
Okay.
The processes, it's almost 50-50, but most people do not have processes and procedures in their business.
Okay. All right. So it gives an indication. And the 2 things I'm seeing now is most people don't have accounting system. There is no budget. Some have registered their businesses. some track, but I'm just wondering, tracking without a budget. So, but we'll get into that. But, with the feedback now, there is a sense of what is going on, with the audience. Then the other question I will ask is, I just want to know the type of businesses you are involved in. It will also give some sense of discussion. When we're looking at examples, then we'll be able to tailor it to what businesses are available here. So if each person, if you can just type in the chat box, the type of business you're doing, the nature of business, so that it will also give an indication. So I'll just give 1 minute for us to indicate the type of businesses we're involved in.
Okay, that should be chat section.
In the chat box, yes. Okay, so I can see retail, bridal, that's fashion, NGO, nutrition and wellness, marketing agency. Lisa is into fashion, Uzo is into marketing agency, Santina is into lifestyle services. Okay, so majority, we have about 3 or 4 that are from the fashion industry. Okay, all right, so this will also help in our discussions. All right, so let's get into it. Thank you everyone for joining once again. I'm going to be asking questions as we go along so that we can all participate and take the best out of this session. So what we'll be discussing, the main topic is business finance. How do you manage your business finance as a business owner and even as an individual? Because everything we have to do, there is a sense of finance that has to be involved. We need to decide what we eat, what we spend our money on, how we get the money and how we spend it. There's so much discussions and so much input in terms of personal finance. So the same way we care about our personal finances, we also need to look at our business finances as well. Because we manage our personal finances, we also need to manage our business finances. So we'll be looking at business finance, how we go about it, understand how we are making money, because that's the cross of it. You are in business to make money. So we need to look at that area specially. Then we will also look at the critical areas. When we talk about business finance management, what are the areas? What are the things that we need to pay attention to? Then we will go, we'll look at each section and do a deep dive to understanding some of the things that we need to pay attention to, and what are the things, how we can go about it. And after that, we'll summarize, we'll wrap up, and we'll take questions. But as we go along, permit me to ask some questions so that I can get a sense of where we are and where we need help in managing our businesses. I hope we're fine with that. Okay, so let's just do a quick introduction. So many things happened, especially last year. Last year was a special year, in quotes. We all started with our goals, with our objectives, what we wanted to achieve for ourselves, how we wanted to run our businesses. Maybe some of us even, we made plans of what we were going to do in 2020. But alas, before the end of the first quarter, COVID happened and it changed. In fact, the whole world came to a standstill. And people had to, in fact, health became the major focus. So many businesses had to even shut down at that point in time. Businesses started looking for what are the survival, in fact, most businesses entered survival mode. Even big businesses, that we know about, the travel industry came to a standstill. Big hotels tourism was negatively impacted because people could not travel. So if people couldn't travel, then there was no point booking hotels. And at some point, big businesses like a hotel, they had to start doing home delivery. So people had to start thinking of, what are we going to do? What next? Some businesses shut down. It was just a whole lot of crisis last year. But all the same, this is 2021, we need to move on. And that is why we need to pay attention, to the way we are managing our businesses. So no matter how brilliant your business idea is, you can't go a long way if you don't have money, if you don't understand your business finances. And on the other hand, if you're making so much money, right, that you even need a bullion van to move your money from your business location to the bank, if you don't manage the money properly, it will disappear. Especially small businesses that do not have the right structures in place. So that's the reason why you need to pay attention to the way you manage your business money, your business finances. So it is also relevant whether you have money or you don't have money. It is extremely important whether you are a big business or whether you are a small business. We are all involved in the business of managing our finances. So business finance is the art and science of managing what it takes to run your business. So it's concerned about the financial well-being and the health of your business operations. So because if you don't manage it well, right, it will, at some point, it will just stop. You can't continue again. Just imagine you are running a bridal shop and you have customers that you need to serve. They've ordered for items, you don't have it in stock. So you'll be losing sales. And let's assume you provided the service and you are not paid. Like your marketing agency, you got a brief from your client to run some adverts. You spent your own cash to run the advert. And at the end of the day, you are not paid. How are you going to pay salaries? How are you going to continue operations? So that's the reason why you need to pay attention. You need to look at your business finance. You look at it as you take care of it the same way you take care of your health. Just imagine a situation where you don't eat, maybe for 5 days, and you're not even fasting. You'll be weak. You won't be able to do so many activities. And at some point, you get dehydrated and you get admitted into the hospital. So the same is applicable to our businesses. If we don't take care of the health of the business, then the business will not be able to survive. So today we are going to look at what are the things you need to pay attention to as a business owner to manage your businesses. And when you do this properly, the business will be able to survive. The business will be profitable. And as you are growing in your business, as you are increasing your sales, as you are increasing your profit, the business will continue to grow. Just imagine you're starting your business. Let's say you have 200,000. You buy your products, right? And you sell. You add a markup or a margin on what you are selling, right? And you collect your cash on time. You'll be able to go back to the market, to buy more and serve more customers. And that is the way, little by little, step by step, right? You are starting small, but you need to scale. So when you manage your business finances properly, then you'll be able to do that, because finance is the backbone of the organization. Your business will be stable. Customers will request for items. You'll be able to supply the items on time, and you'll be able to expand. So these are some of the things that you'll be able to achieve when you manage your business finances properly. And you'll be able to solve problems and increase the wealth of your business. So what is your role as a business owner? What is your role? What do you need to do? You need to have financial knowledge, an understanding of how your decisions, what are the things that you need to do? What decisions do you need to take? For instance, if you are launching a new product, maybe based on the needs from your customers, you're going into, let's say, ready to wear, right? You need to sit down and check how much is it going to cost you? How many customers am I going to serve? How much do I need? How do I get tailors to support me? Am I going to bring in tailors, or I'm going to outsource it? Meaning that you are going to look for tailors, right, that will do it in their own location, so that you won't need to buy equipment on your own. And maybe you pay them on based on commission. Then you'll be able to also look at how much profit do I want to make. So these are some of the things that you need to prepare for as a business owner. And you'll be able to determine if you are going to have cash problems, because you know how much it is going to cost you. You can check how much do you have in your bank account. How are you going to source the money? So these are some of the things that you need to start thinking about. You need to start putting in place. You need to put them in place even before you do them, so that you'll be able to determine how much you are going to require, how much you will require, and where you are going to source the money from. Are you going to meet up with your friends to lend you some money? Are you going to get some funds from the bank? How are you going to source the funds? Very important. Then, as you go along in your business, you will be able to interpret your financial performance. You will know where the money is coming from and where the money is going to. How are you spending your money? So these are some of the roles that you need to play as the business owner. And that is why your financial knowledge needs to be top-notch, so that you'll be able to deliver, so that you'll be able to meet up with your customers' requirements, and you'll be able to satisfy them and build wealth for yourself. Because I'm sure we have goals for starting our businesses. So before we go on into the other details, I just want to set the context right. I want to bring in the business model. When you hear about business model, don't be scared. What the business model, and people ask you, if you go to, maybe you want to bring in an investor, or you need somebody to fund you, they will ask you, so what is your business model? What they are asking you in essence is, how are you going to make money? They want to be sure that you know how you are going to make money and what you need to make money. So I'll just look at this briefly, and I'm going to give an example of a business model. So the starting point is, what problems are you going to solve? Like the marketing agency, you want to help people increase their visibility. You want to help them to reach out to their customers. So what products, how are you going to help them? Are you going to do it through copywriting? Are you going to do it through advertisements? Are you going to offer it, do it for them, or you are just going to support them? Right? So these are some of the things that you need to start thinking about. If you're setting up a retail store, what is the problem you are trying to solve? You want to make sure that people have access to, you are bringing convenience to them, because you have to look at it from the problem you are solving. So you look at what are the customers you are going to attend to. I'm sure last week's session dealt extensively with this, but I'm just bringing it out so that you will see how it relates to our business finance. So who are the customers you are going to serve? How are they going to pay you? Because that is where finance comes to play. How are you going to get more, collect your cash from them? Where will they pay into? Which bank are you going to use? So those are some of the questions that you need to start thinking about upfront, so that as you are serving your customers, you are also ensuring that you have systems in place. When you are ready to launch your products, your cash is coming into your business. So how are your customers going to reach you? How are you going to reach them? Then if you look at the left-hand side, you have what are the activities? What are the resources you need? What are the infrastructure you need? For the fashion business, maybe you need a store, maybe you need equipment, the machine, the stoning machine, the weaving machine, and so many other things that you require. And you need people to work with you as well. So what activities are you going to be involved in? You have to, you need to meet up with your customers. You need to make sure that there's quality control. You are checking what you are sending to them, right? You also have your key partners. Who are the people that will supply you? Who are the people you are going to work with? Who are your service providers? So when you begin to look at all this, it all boils down into your revenue and your costs, because you are bringing in customers to provide revenue. So where is the revenue going to come from? Remember that the level of your revenue is dependent on the number of products that you have. So you begin to relate your business model to your finances so that you have the right background. Then what is your cost structure? How much is it going to cost you for the resources, for the services you need? What will be the total cost? And at the end of the day, when you match your cost against your revenue, how much profit are you going to make? So this is extremely important for you to take note of. So let me use, I prepared this example. We are all familiar with the telecoms industry. We all, in fact, we're using Zoom now. Is a kind of telecom service to make this happen. So let's assume this is Airtel or MTN or Glo or Nine Mobile's business. So what is their value proposition? That's the starting point. They want to provide the best network quality for voice and data. Who are their customers? Who are they going to serve? You are a customer, I'm also a customer. You have the prepaid and the pay as you go. You have the postpaid that pay at the end of the month. You have the SME, you have the enterprise. They've segmented it so that they'll be able to serve them. For instance, there are some postpaid customers, right, that every month they have people that call them to check them how they are faring. These are the people that are spending 1 million, 2 million on the network. So when you understand all this, they'll be able to tailor the services. So just apply it to your business. For instance, your marketing agency, I'm sure you have categories of customers. There are some customers that are giving you your high ticket. your 80% of your revenue. So you need to pay close attention to them. This is exactly what the big companies are doing, and you can start it. You don't have to be big. You don't have to wait until you are big. So you need to start acting big. You need to start incorporating some of those ideas, some of those practices, the attitude of a big business. So that's why I've broken it down to help you understand it. Then, you know, some of them have, in fact, most of them, they have call centers. They have service centers that if you have issues, you can go to them. Then they also have different channels that customers can buy their products. You have the USSD, through social media, Facebook, you know, that you can reach out to them. Because the more it is convenient for them, the more the revenue they are going to get. And they also have resources. They have their sales sites, they have the engineers, they have the support staff in the office, then they have activities. They need to make sure that they register the SIM. Now, the government is saying that if you don't register your SIM, they are going to ban the number. Why are the network companies, why are they concerned? Because once the numbers are bad, it will affect their revenues. So that's the reason why, in fact, they are even doing the adverts more than the government, because they have a stake. So these are some of the things that you need to also look at as a business. Whatever will affect your business negatively, you need to get involved in it. And you have the key partners. You know, they have their distributors. Sometimes they even do some promotions, right? Sometimes they reward them, they do awards. So you can also start imbibing some of those things. Who are your customers? You can send messages to them during their birthdays, you know, just call them, check how they are faring, so that that connection is there, because they are bringing your revenue. They are the ones bringing the cash. So at the end of the day, you know, the telecoms company like Airtel, they have voice revenue, they have data revenue. The call we are making now, we are powering it using data, irrespective of the network. So the network that is best, you know, we get the most of the revenue. So let's assume now that I'm using Airtel to run this presentation. And if there's a network problem, I will have to switch, right? Then let's look at the cost. They need to employ staff. They need to maintain the base stations. They need to buy diesel. So let me use the marketing agency as an example again here, right? You have your customers that you are attending to. Then what are the revenue models that you have? How are you making money from them? Is it by helping them to do copyright? Is it by running adverts for them? Is it by training their staff? So how are you making money? Because the more the sources of revenue for you, the better. And how much are you spending? Because at the end of the day, if the cost is more than the revenue, then the business is not worth it. So these are some of the things that you need to just pay attention to. So do we understand the business model? I just need to get feedback, quick feedback, quick feedback. Do you understand the business model? Is it making sense? So I need to get feedback. I want to be sure you are following. I have so much to share, but I need your feedback. I need that ginger now. Yes, it's making, okay, Santina said it's making sense. Mazino is following. Oh, Timilei is also following. Idon Gesit SN is following. Lisa, yeah, okay. Treasure says better understanding. Gertrude says yes. Okay, yes, we are good to go. So let's move on. So now you've understood the framework of your business model. So the assignment for you is when you get home today or when you're free, I'm sure most people are dialing from the house, you need to sit down and draw your own box, your business model. How are you making money? That is the essence of understanding business model. So if you go to the bank and they ask you, what is your model? Or you are talking to somebody and they are saying, what is your model? You know what they are asking for. They just want to know how you are making money, as simple as that. So now let's liken our business financial management. We will look at it as a framework. Remember that if you are building a house, your business is like a house, right? You need to do the foundation. In fact, you need to get the land first, because if you don't have a land, there's no way you can buy. You need to get a land, buy the land, clear the land and start with the foundation. But before you start doing that, you would have checked, how much is this going to cost me? And you would have thought ahead, how am I going to get the money? So that you don't get stuck along the line. So your business management framework is all about looking at what are the components. How do I move from one process to another? What do I need to do first? What needs to follow? So that, everything will be working together. So what are the things I need to put in place? How do I manage my customers? How do I manage others? How do I make sure that how do I collect my money from my customers? How are they going to pay me? So which means that you need to be able to track how money is circulating. That's all what financial management is all about. That's what business finance is all about. Tracking the circulation of your money. How are you generating the money? What are you using it for? How are you reinvesting the money? What are you using it for? So that you'll be able to tell what makes sense and what does not make sense. That's extremely important. So in the framework, this is my, I will call it my special framework in terms of business model. Just look at this. You have your business, we've discussed about business model, how you are going to make money. So what are the areas that you need to pay attention to? You need to pay attention to your business finance in terms of fundraising. How do you want to raise money? Is it internally or externally? We will come into that shortly. How are you going to keep your records? How do you keep your records? Because at some point, you need to check whether this investment, this business I'm doing, does it make sense? Is it achieving the purpose or the objectives? Then how am I budgeting? How am I planning? Remember our discussion, there is a lot of planning to be done. There's a lot of budgeting to be done. Otherwise, your business could get stuck. You need to check how you are pricing your products. Because if you don't price well, you won't be able to cover all your costs and you'll be making losses. Just imagine the effort to sell. You are putting in so much effort, but what is there to show for it? Is there anything to show for it? Your cash flow is extremely important. How are you managing your cash? Because the cash is the lifeline of the business. It's the blood of the business. Just imagine driving a car without fuel, or maybe there is a little fuel, and you are just speeding, you are not checking the gauge. It will get to a point, it will stop. It will move at the beginning. You will start, yes, but at some point it will stop. And just imagine, maybe you are traveling from Lagos to Ibadan, and with all the things happening, or you are going from Lagos to Port Harcourt. And just imagine you get to Ore and the fuel, finishes. What are you going to do with all these headsmen and all the things happening? It's very risky, it's dangerous. So the same way, if you are running your business and you are not looking at your cash flow, you will just stop along the line and you won't be able to continue. So what we're talking about is that your financial management is all about tracking, anticipating. How will I get the money? How do I keep the money? What am I going to use it for? How am I spending it in my business? How am I spending it outside? So when you understand this framework, then you'll be able to manage your businesses properly. You'll be able to manage the business properly. So we will go into each of the elements. Remember, we said we'll look at the areas we need to focus on, then we will touch on each of the elements, at least to give you an idea of what you need to focus on and how you need to focus on it. So let's start with the funding perspective, right? Funding is providing resources to finance a need or a project or a program. But there are some perspectives that I want to bring out to you so that, funding is not just about money. Social capital is also a form of funding. Who do you have in your network? When you have access to platforms and pool of expertise is also capital that you can't even quantify. Like this platform is a social capital that is investing in you, in your business, so that you can improve your financial knowledge and manage your businesses better. Before we now come down to the financial capital, which is in the form of cash, then time is also a form of capital. Most people, they don't spend time to understand their businesses. You need to spend time, because if you have all the money in the world and you don't have the financial intelligence, it's like having a bullion van, right? Without knowing where it is going to. Anything can happen on the way. So you need to spend time to understand. You need to spend time to prepare your budget, to plan. Because when you plan, you will know where you are going to. You will know what you need to get there. And you'll be checking along the line to know where you've reached. And the type of funding, it will depend on a number of factors. What you need the money for, what is the strategy, what is the purpose? And I'll just briefly look at that. So when we look at funding, what are the sources? And one point I want to also point out is, I want to highlight is that the funding will depend on the stage of your business. Are you just starting? How long have you run your business for? Because that will also determine the type of funding that you require. And most of the time, when you're starting your business, you start with your personal savings, or maybe you have, you've collected your retirement funds or things like that, or your family and friends, your network. Though you just have to be careful, because when it comes to money, there's always a problem. The best of friends can become the worst enemies because of money, even families. So you need to look at that, right? And you also need to, if you're already doing your business, you are already in business, there's something called spontaneous funding. An example is when you have very good it requires relationship building with your vendors in a way that, you can get some credit from them and pay them later. You can also, if you have very good customers as well, everything boils down to relationship. They can also fund, maybe pay you in advance, to supply some of those items. So those are the internal sources of finance. Then when we talk about the external sources, that is where we're talking about equity, where you need to now share control with people because they are bringing in their money. So if you once you start thinking about bringing in other people to fund your business, then you must be ready to share control. You must be ready to share control. That's one thing about equity. So when it comes to loans, right, you have the short-term loans, you have the long-term loans as well that you need to watch out for, right? But it will depend on the stage of your business. For instance, some of the banks, they don't give startup loan. Banks don't give equity because banks are collecting from people that have money to give to those that don't have. And when you deposit money in the bank, you can collect it anytime. So that's the reason why banks are not so involved in equity, right? But if you are just starting, equity is good because it gives you some leeway. You are not under pressure to pay back. You are not under pressure to pay interest, unlike loans. And that is why, when businesses are just starting out, they start out with equity. Then as the business grows, they now start using loans because there are advantages of also using loans. So these are some of the things that you need to look at. You have crowdfunding, where people come together to fund businesses. In fact, crowdfunding is now getting very popular in Nigeria. You have all these agri-tech businesses where they ask people to invest into poultry, into farming, husbandry, and things like that, right? So those are some of the ways that people are generating funds to run their businesses. Then you have the venture capital, where you have some very wealthy businesses, especially international businesses, that wants to invest in your business. Like the case we heard about Paystack, right? They started with Y Combination. That's like an accelerator program. And, they started building. And now they've been able to sell their business for over $200 million. But they didn't start like that. They started small. So that's one other thing I want to highlight. You need to start small and start scaling. Then some people use grants. We have foundations like Toyin Aralepo Foundation. You have MasterCard, that are interested in funding startups or ideas. And you have subsidies. Government is also doing a lot now to support small businesses. But one thing is that you have to be ready. And we will touch into, we'll look at that in a while. Then you have donations. Sometimes you have subsidies, right, that you can also use to fund your business. But what is important is to understand what investors are looking at, understand what the banks are looking at, depending on the one that is convenient for you. So if you are looking for investors, depending on the level you are, they want to be sure that you have a viable business proposition. We've looked at that. That's the business model. You need to know your numbers. You need to be accountable. They want to be sure that you are a credible person, that you are a transparent person, because they will do their due diligence. So that is why, when you are starting your business, you need to make sure that you are putting in place the required structure. And we will get into that as well. So I've stated here 10 tips that can help you. You need to separate your business account from your personal account. Make sure you register your business with the Corporate Affairs Commission. I think the government is also helping. They want to help about 100,000 businesses to register their business names. You can get in touch with your bank to know to check that procedure. Some banks are also interested, right? So you need to open your bank account and have your BVN. I know that some of these palliatives or like the survivor fund, you know, and I think the payroll support, you need to have your BVN. Government, I know businesses that they help them to pay about 3 months staff salaries. You know, they said 50,000 each, but they even paid some depending on their qualification, like the accountants, they paid them more. So when you have all these things in place, you'll be able to leverage on opportunities. And I'm sure opportunities will keep coming. You need to start recording your transactions. You know, during the poll, most people said they don't have an accounting system. Yes, you don't have an accounting system. So how are you tracking? You need to, maybe you open an Excel file. There are some applications that you can download. There's a cash book application that you can record your transactions. And there is also one record keeping tool that you can use. That is your bank statement, because your bank statement will show all the cash that is coming into your business. And most times, all the cash coming in are your sales. And that's the reason why you need to make sure that your customers are paying into your account. And you also make sure that you are paying your suppliers, the salaries of your staff, the utilities, everything. You are doing it from your account. So when you do that, at a glance, you can even see what has come in for the period, how much you have spent, and how much revenue you have earned, how much sales you have made. That is one quick way of keeping your records. Then we now go to your financial statement. And most people say that they don't have financial statements. When you have an accounting system, you don't have to worry so much, because as you are recording your transactions, you can generate the financial statement. That's the beauty of having an accounting system. Before now, Wave was a free system that most businesses in Nigeria were using, especially the service-based businesses. But all of a sudden, maybe they realized that so many people are using the app. They stopped it and restricted it only to to Canada and US. But there's one, is it Z? I'll just check the name. Zoho, Z-O-H-O. But that one is only free for 1 year. You can just try that out. Then you need to have your plan, your budget. How much are you planning to make? How much are you going to spend? You know, that's the beauty of having budget, so that you can be tracking it. So this month I said I'm going to make 100,000. You will break it down. How much am I supposed to make every day, every week? So that you can determine how many customers do I need to be able to achieve that amount. So that's the beauty of having all these things readily available in your business. Then you monitor your cash flow, understand your numbers, invest in financial knowledge. It will help you, because opportunity meets preparedness. If you are not ready, you just be missing the bus all the time. And have your elevator pitch handy. You need to be a scout. You need to be ready. That's what I always tell people. And believe in yourself, because you are the one that will make it happen. So out of this tip, these 10 tips, how many do you have in place? From 10 to 1, just quick response, just to be sure that you are following. Let me get feedback from you. So score yourself over 10. Okay, 7. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. So how cash flow keeps your business afloat? I'm just going to spend some few minutes here looking at how do you generate money? You generate money through your revenue, through your investment. If you have investments, right? Then what are you using your money for? You have your business in the middle, you are generating revenue on one side, and you are also incurring costs on the other hand. And at the end of the day, how much is left? How much is left? So if there's nothing left, then it becomes a problem. So let me just quickly go through this case study, right? Just to highlight the importance of having a cash flow, managing your cash flow. Let's assume that you sell Ankara fabrics. We have people in the fashion industry here. Let's say you have 100,000 naira and you bought 4 pieces of fabrics at 40,000 naira each. That's 160,000 naira. You sold it to BJ at 50,000 each. Your cost is 160K. Your revenue is 200K. Now, what is your profit? That's 200 less 160, that's 40K. But BJ did not pay you. The following day, another customer comes and requests for, let's say, 5 pieces. So how much cash do you have left? You just have 40,000. So how are you going to meet this order? Is either you go to your bank to borrow, or you have to go and get to collect it on credit from your supplier. Maybe you have customers or suppliers in Idumota, right? So if you are not able to meet up with this, then you are losing cash, you are losing opportunities, or you are even the one funding your customers. So that's the reason why you need to pay attention to the cash flow of your business. So imagine a situation where BJ paid you the entire money on time or immediately, then you can go and buy again and you make additional profit. And that's the way you keep increasing your revenue, you keep increasing your cash, and your profit is also increasing as well. So how do you prepare your cash flow? You need to identify the cash that you have at the beginning. You need to estimate how much is coming in for the period, how much expenses you are going to incur in that same period. You subtract it from your income, right? And add it to whatever you have at the beginning. So when you do your cash flow, you'll be able to check at a glance whether you have enough money, to take you for the period. So that when you are deliberately giving credit to your customers, you are sure you plan ahead of that. Either you are going to get a loan from the bank, or you are going to get a loan from your family and friends. So these are some of the things that you need to take into cognizance. Your cash flow is extremely important. So this is just emphasizing it that, the cash flow cycle, you order for goods, you receive it, you pay the invoice, then you sell it to your customers. It is delivered, you send them invoice, and the customer pays. So the question to you as a business owner is, how long does it take for each of the value chain to be completed? Because if it takes so many days, you are tying down your cash and you can't increase your sales. That is the danger. So these are some of the things that you need to take cognizance of when it comes to your cash flow. I've discussed a bit about the record keeping, that you need to keep your records, otherwise it becomes a problem for you. You need to look at starting with your Excel file to be keeping your records, And as your business is growing, you can get an accounting software, because by the time you have an accounting software, you'll be able to check your performance, your profit or loss statement, your balance sheet, and your cash flow statement. They will be automatically generated, and you won't be having issues with the tax authorities. And when it is time to fund your business, you'll be able to get support from the banks, because what the banks are concerned about is, are you going to be able to pay back whatever money they've advanced to you? Is extremely important. So what are the records that you need to keep? I've discussed some of this earlier. Your sales, your purchases, your inventory, the salaries you pay, the trainings. You can open a simple Excel file. And I mentioned earlier that your bank statement is like the heart of your bookkeeping, because most of your records will be there. And that is if you are ensuring that customers pay into your account and you make payments from your bank account. It will help you, in knowing all the transactions that have taken place a particular period, right? So I mentioned about Zoho. So this is the Zoho. Wave is no longer free for Nigerians. It's now restricted to the US and Canada. So one point I want to make here is that how are you make it easy for your customers in terms of how do you collect money from them? You can use Paystack, you can use Flutterwave, or direct transfer. Because these are some of the ways you can automate your cash. Remember that cash is king. So when you do all this, it will be easy for you to track the performance of your business. So I'll just touch briefly on the key financial statements. There are 3 of them, the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow. And your balance sheet is just like a financial photograph. It's a snapshot of what you own as a business and what you are owing. How did you generate money and what have you used the money for? That's what it's all about. Your income statement is just like a TV program or a Netflix movie. It has a beginning and the end. And that's why, it is called income statement for a particular period, for the month of January or December. So it shows you your profitability. How much revenue have you generated? How much did it cost you? And what is the profit? Then your cash flow, I've discussed the cash flow extensively. It's like your circulatory system. It keeps pumping blood, right? And without cash, your business cannot survive. So that is what keeps the business running. Your cash flow is extremely important. And we've discussed on how you need to maintain the cash. So this is just talking about the P&L, the profit or loss statement, that it is your revenue, less your cost of goods sold, you have your gross profit, then you deduct your operating expenses, you have your operating income. And you now have other expenses like your finance cost, your depreciation, your taxes, before you arrive at your net income. So when you understand how your business is running, remember we started from the business model, right, of your revenue, your cost. So everything, all the activities in your business, we either come under revenue or costs or operating expenses, all the activities in your business. So I've talked about the balance sheet. This is just to emphasize it, that it shows what your business owns and what you are owing at any point in time. And most of the importance of the balance sheet is that it helps in the valuation. When investors come, they will look at your balance sheet because it will reveal a lot of secrets about the way you are running your business. And most times when you want to collect loan as well, they will request for your balance sheet as well. So we've discussed about the cash flow, so we can skip that. This is just showing the relationship of the financial statement, that you start with what you have, your balance sheet, then what happened during the period. You are trading, you have revenue, you have your expenses, right? So cash is coming in, cash is going out. And at the end of the day, you have your position. Remember, we said your balance sheet is your position at the beginning of the period and at the end of the period. So this is still just highlighting your cash flow. You have just showing it in different perspectives so that you can understand it, right? Your cash is like the critical thing, the heart of the business, because all your activities revolve around your cash. All your business activities revolve around your cash. So you need to take care of your cash flow very importantly, right? Then this is just talking about measuring your financial results. Remember the poll question that some of you said you track your performance. It is extremely important. Now, you will understand that tracking your business performance requires that you record your transactions, because if you don't record, there's no way you can track. And we've discussed about some of the makeshift ways you can record your track your transactions and record your transactions if you don't have an accounting system. I'll just spend a few minutes here. Another critical thing that you need to focus on is pricing. You need to ensure that you price your product and services well. And what is critical about pricing is to ensure that you are covering all your costs, not only your direct costs, but also absorbing or recovering your fixed costs. That is why you need to look at your pricing as well, so that you can ensure that you also understand this aspect and it impacts positively on your business. Because if your pricing is not right, then it impacts on your profitability. Your profit is your revenue less your cost. So if the price is not right, then your profit will be affected. Your profit will be affected. So we are rounding up now. Remember where we started from. We looked at the importance of business finance and the frameworks, areas where you need to focus on. We spoke about, we discussed about your funding. We looked at your record keeping. We looked at your cash flow management. We looked at your planning. We also looked at your pricing as well, because those are the elements, as you are building your business, those are the elements that you need to pay attention to, to help you. And one thing, I keep saying this, is that this quote, opportunity dances with those that are already on the dance floor. And you won't know when the opportunities will come. So you need to be ready. You need to put in place the right structure that will support your business. So those are just my contact details. I also have some courses that I will post in the chat later, so that we can attend to questions right now. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. So Ijeoma, over to you as we handle the questions.
Yes, thank you so much. That was very insightful, and I think everyone would agree. So the first question we have is around the service sector. So how do you price services? Sometimes it seems like you're charging too little, yet you spend so much time on a project. Do you have any advice on that?
Okay, so for service pricing, where you need to start from is how much is a bit subjective, And one thing about pricing in the service industry is the perception of value. So that's why you need to sell the value you are bringing to the table, right? But fundamentally, you need to look at how much is it costing you. For instance, let's assume you're doing a webinar, for instance. You know, you need to take account of the cost of your, there's going to be data, right? You need to, if you are using a Zoom platform, that cost is also there. So let's assume you have paid for 1 year. You can divide that by 12 months, which means that every month, this is like an allocated cost of that Zoom. For instance, I paid $149 for Zoom for 1 year. So you divide that by 12, right? So that on a monthly basis, you know how much you are going to allocate, right? Then you also need to look at, maybe you're also spending airtime. You need to put that into consideration. So all the costs, maybe you're having adverts too, right? To maybe put it on Instagram. You have a platform that you are hosting the courses, maybe like a seller platform that you have some fixed amounts that you have to pay, right? You need to accumulate all the costs that is involved in providing that service. Then maybe you have to hire somebody on that particular project. You bring in people that will support you. How much are they charging you? So you need to collate all those costs, right? Then after collating all that, you now determine your own margin. So that is at your own discretion. But first and foremost, you need to ensure that you cover all your costs. So let me use an event program. For instance, maybe you are planning an event, right? And you need to cater for the rentals. You need to maybe cater for the hall as well. So you need to collate all the costs together. You're going to bring in service ushers that will support you. You need to rent the items that you are going to use for the decoration. So you make sure that you compile all the costs, the transportation, everything that is involved. You need to put them together. Then you add your own margin depending on your negotiation power. But make sure that you collate all the costs first. That's like your baseline. You can't go below that. So that's what I will advise, especially for service-based businesses. I hope that clarifies. And if you have more questions, I'll take that.
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you. So the second question is, how can we plan well if we're just a startup and many things are not yet stable?
Okay, so if you're just starting out, that's why, as you are planning, you need to be documenting as well, right? So which business, you need to look at it, which business are you starting? You need to research about the business. I'm sure you have people that have started the business ahead of you. You need to do like a shadowing, right, of what they are doing. You need to do research. That is where the social capital comes in, where you need to get mentors, right? That you don't necessarily need to talk to them that, oh, be my mentor. Somebody can be your mentor without the person even knowing. And the same thing applies to businesses, right? So that if you check somebody that is already doing the business, what are they doing? What are the things they are doing? You need to start noting that. How much will it cost you? That's why your planning, your budgeting comes to play. If you're starting, let's say, a fashion business, are you starting from the house? Do you want to get a shop, right? Are you going to outsource it, or you are going to bring in tailors, or you start yourself? Most of the time, you need to start yourself first, but it also depends on how much you have at hand and how you want to go about it. I know some people that, they started on their own. And, okay, let me even use a popular example. Mrs. Adenike, the owner of Rough and Tumbles, she started with her car, the boot of her car, right? That was where she started selling nightwears. And, after a while, she got a place and she started expanding. So you need to start first, then have a skin, because sometimes when people want to invest in you, they want to check, what have you done yourself? What is your skin? What do you have in the business? So those are some of the things that you need to look at when starting your business. I hope that clarifies it. I hope that clarifies. Hello, Ijoma. Can you hear me? I hope I'm still.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
My internet went off for a bit, but I'm back now.
Oh, okay.
So where
Okay.
did you stop?
Is there any other question?
No, there are no questions. Lisa Mutoni says it's clear.
Okay.
Let me just see. Okay.
Okay, so I just put up the link to some of my video courses and my Instagram handle, so that anyone interested can just check that out.
Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. So there was something, there's a product that Kobikam Africa is also launching on Monday, and we just wanted to play the video for you. It's basically a financial model that helps with your income statement, cash flow, balance sheet. So you don't have to worry about all the technicalities. All you have to do is input your details, your income, your expenses, your cash coming in, all of that, and it will generate those reports for you. So we'll share the video just now. I don't know if Nimi can play the video, but thank you so much, Ms. Aralepo. Everyone is saying thank you. It was very informative, very detailed. You took your time to explain from the top, from what a business framework is to how we can manage our expenses. So that was very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nimi, can you go ahead and play the video? Okay, someone is
asking.
Okay,
1 second, please.
Someone is asking if you have a book or PDF.
Okay. If you go to the link, the videos, covers much more than what I've shared here, because they are all extracts from the video courses. So details are there in the video courses. So in fact, video will give you more insights than even PDF.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll play the video now. There's no volume, Nimi. Yeah, I'm so sorry if I don't know if it was only me that couldn't hear, but there was no sound. But I hope you guys got the gist of it, but we'll be sharing all the information on our social media platforms and also via email as well. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Mrs. Toyin, for your very detailed presentation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
So if no one has any more questions, we would end for today. This was a very insightful session on business finance. And if you have any more questions, you can still shoot us an email and we'll share it with Mrs. Toyin and or in our DM. Just send us an email. Thank you, everyone.